BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. What I had to learn the hard way, that I definitely don't want you to have to learn as the listener. When you don't listen, life actually gets much louder. It gives you no choice but to listen or hear all of the things that are magnified around you. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, the one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart, and we are in step 7 of the 12-step BTB Blueprint. Today, we're going to focus on another valuable step of where growth happens and being able to slow down enough in your life to be able to hear what's going on around you. Step 7 of the BTB Blueprint is listen. Throughout the first 6 steps, it has had a lot of action-packed, effort-driven steps that allow you to become the strongest version of yourself, to have self-awareness and exploration of goals and dream setting in your life be something that can actually become possible. Being able to go a bit deeper and to think a little bit more about how we're going after where we want to go on our built to be journey. Listening is something that is exponentially important. This step shows up when effort alone isn't enough anymore. We can't constantly will ourselves to do extraordinary things. Sometimes we have to take a step back. When we realize grinding harder doesn't create better results, when your growth needs wisdom and not more pressure, this is why listening comes after the steps of working and protecting or saving what you've created to this point. This step doesn't come in the middle of the blueprint by accident. Early growth requires you to always take action. What are you going to do to make the first step? What are you going to do to have the courage, the audacity to get out of your comfort zone? That's what this is really all about. I heard a great quote the other day that comfort is one of our biggest enemies in life. It can actually cause decay to become ice frozen in what we're doing. in our life. And to be able to have growth that expands, that goes above and beyond, that requires for you to have a tremendous amount of awareness at all times. When you're just starting out on a BTB journey, you do need structure. You do need some discipline. You need some rules, which is why I'm laying out the steps accordingly. But at this point now, after achieving these first 6 steps and going into the step of listening, that's when you really started to build momentum. You've put in the work. You've started protecting your energy. The next level requires you to listen. Because not every obstacle is solved by pushing harder, by this grinder's mentality. It can get you to a certain place on your journey, but it's not sustainable. So I want to talk for a little bit about the difference between hearing versus listening. And most people know how to hear. Very few people actually know how to listen. Hearing is something that's incredibly passive. Listening is intentional. You can hear things like feedback from a boss or a teacher on how you're doing with your work or in a class. You can hear advice. You can hear warning signs when people tell you that you shouldn't be doing something. And at the end of the day, you can still ignore all of that when you're only hearing. But if you're listening, listening requires humility. Listening is going to ask you, why does this keep coming up? Why does this feeling feel so heavy? You think about being at work or being in a class and someone's giving you feedback. Do you have a conviction to that feedback? Are you willing to start self-assessing, looking deep inside because you've built the momentum of awareness that you've never had in your life, which equips you to be able to listen? It allows you to think of things like, why do I keep reacting the same way? When I go out and play a tennis match and I hit a ball and it looks like it hits the line, but someone calls it out, why am I getting so defensive? Why am I so unsettled in that moment? I keep doing it all the time, but I don't know why. Listening is something that is not a weakness. It sometimes can be perceived as weakness, that we always have to be dominating these conversations, that if we're speaking and we have a presence, that makes us powerful in nature. And some of the most powerful moments in my life is when I actually shut my mouth and I begin to be intentional with my ears of what's happening around me. What people are saying that I love the most, that I know care about me. What are they saying and how am I listening to it? So I remember a very specific season in my life where I was doing everything right on paper. As a husband and a father, as a coach, as a business professional, I was working, I was disciplined, I was producing. I really think back, being known as being a coach, people are always looking up to me, asking me for advice, asking me what direction they should go, how they should approach certain situations. A lot of times I kind of lost my ability to listen because I was always saying instead of trying to receive information. I wasn't listening to the people that I was trying to help. I wasn't listening to my body. My body was exhausted, doing all these different things, but really not taking care of myself. I felt like my nervous system was overloaded. I wasn't listening to the warning signs in my relationships. I wasn't listening to the quiet internal signals that were telling me something needed to change. I was burnt out. I was broken. I didn't have that extra fuel on the inside because I had exhausted myself. And here's what I had to learn the hard way that I definitely don't want you to have to learn as the listener. When you don't listen, life actually gets much louder. It gives you no choice but to listen or hear all of the things that are magnified around you. When you're in pain, that speaks volumes. When you're burnt out, it speaks volumes. You get injured, it speaks volumes. You have loss in your life, it speaks volumes. But listening earlier, if you would have taken the time to have the ability to self-assess, which I certainly didn't do, but having the awareness now, listening earlier would have saved many years of recovery later. I'm going to say that again. Listening earlier would have saved me several years of recovery later. So what does listening actually look like? Listening isn't sitting still and doing nothing. Listening is active awareness. It's where you're present. You're in alignment. You know where your energy drains. You know where resistance keeps showing up. You know where your peace shows up. It looks like asking better questions. I'm a huge fan of open-ended questions. I've learned that in my sales career. And it's something that you can use that's highly applicable to your life because when you ask open-ended questions, it gives you no choice but to have an opportunity to listen. Listening doesn't mean you stop working. It means you're actually working in alignment. So I want to take this step of listening and I want to put it into practice. What does this look like in action? And this is something you can do that you can apply immediately into your life. Typically, during these actionable steps, I have you write in your BTB journals. So I want you to go ahead and grab that notebook. And I want you to find your next clean sheet of paper and write the word listen at the top of the paper. We're going to go through 3 prompts during this episode that I want you to ask yourself to help tap into your listening, into your self-awareness. Number 1 is, what is my body telling me right now? Some examples of this is Is my body saying it feels tension? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? Is my body saying it feels overwhelmed? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? Is my body saying it feels exhausted? Is my body saying it feels tired? 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 Is my body say Am I anxious about something that's happened in my life or coming up? Am I fatigued? Am I going a million miles an hour trying to do so many different things that it's not allowing me to sleep well at night because my mind is spinning about the days ahead? Is it making me feel anxiety? Do I actually feel good or do I not feel good? What is your body telling you right now? You feel calm? Do you feel strength? Your body keeps score. That score can come out in so many different aspects, but we're not going to ignore it anymore. And we're not going to try to make it disappear. We're going to recognize it and take ownership of it. So, what is your body telling you? Write that down. Next is, what feedback have you been resisting? Have you gotten feedback from a loved one, a business colleague, another one of your peers, from the people you trust? Patterns that you keep seeing or they're seeing that you know are not healthy patterns for where you want to go? What are outcomes that you keep repeating? They often say if you do things up to 3 times in a row and you know it's not the right thing to do, but you continue to do it, that you're actually clinically insane. Do you have the awareness to know how to adapt and adjust from the feedback that you've been resisting? What is that feedback? I want you to write that down. Lastly, what do I already know that I've been avoiding? This is where the truth and the rubber meets the road, ladies and gentlemen. This is often a quiet one. This is what we internalize, the things that we know we need to do, but we're not doing it. For so many different reasons. Could be our pride, could be our ego. But I want you to really think. Let's not sugarcoat it. What have you been avoiding? What makes you uncomfortable? I want you to write this down without judgment. If you want to share it with somebody else, share it. But this is between you and you. And that is the most powerful thing you can do to start taking steps towards self-assessment. This information is not failure. These 3 questions of what is your body telling you, what feedback have you been resisting, and what do I already know that I've been avoiding, these help with alignment. As that alignment is created through the exercise, I want you to understand the power of listening. Because as you're in alignment and you've self-assessed, listening changes everything, especially in leadership, especially in your life, towards your goals. Listening is going to build trust. Listening prevents you from being burnt out. Listening creates clarity before mistakes compound. We are creatures of habits. We have good habits and we have bad habits. And being able to listen well intentionally creates clarity before those mistakes happen. You see it in leadership and in your life. You're also going to see it in business. Listening is going to improve decision making. Listening is going to reveal blind spots that you might not have been able to see in your work, in your business, working for somebody else. Listening keeps you aligned with your values, not just outcomes. How does this affect relationships? In relationships, Listening creates safety. Listening deepens connection. Listening prevents resentment. Listening doesn't slow progress. It protects your progress. Best relationships that I have in my life are ones where I'm able to ask meaningful, aligned, open-ended questions, intentional questions because I care. And then I get to just shut my mouth and listen. I got a challenge for you this week. It's very simple. You're going to go and for 5 minutes, you're going to have intentional silence every day this week. I know it's hard, but for 5 minutes a day, no phone, no music, no productivity. You're just going to sit in one question. What am I being shown right now? And in silence for 5 minutes, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen. No fixing, no forcing, no judging, just awareness. 5 minutes a day, listening to how you respond to what am I being shown right now. Listening isn't about doing less. It's about doing the right things longer. This step only is achieved by realizing that it takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of wisdom. This step is how effort becomes sustainable because you're aware, you're connected, your head and your heart, your mind and your body are in alignment with your built to be journey. You don't lose momentum by listening, but you get to gain clarity. I appreciate you joining me today in step 7. We have 5 steps remaining in the BTB Blueprint. At the conclusion of this series, you're going to have 12 steps of arsenal to take into your goal setting, to take into your personal development, to go crush what your God-given talents are, what your goals, dreams, and ambitions are. It's my obligation to you to help you along the way. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.